Except the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keeps the city, the watchman waits, but in vain. Let's bow our heads for prayer. My God and my King, that you have promised that if we invite you in our processes, then you are there to bless and to cause us to experience victory. And so this morning, Lord, as we gather for this very momentous occasion, as we gather for what promises to be the beginning of something great in our nation, promises to be the continuation of great things that have been happening, promises to be the thing that will lead us into a greater level of excellence, we thank you, Lord, that you have given us all the graces we need to accomplish this. We thank you that you have brought us here. We thank you for the health of those who have been laboring to bring it to this point. And we thank you for the expertise that will be used to complete this project. So, Lord, this morning we give you this occasion. And we ask that your presence will preside here, that you will be here with us, that we will know indeed that the Lord is here, and therefore we are not waking in vain. The Lord is here, therefore the city is being kept. The Lord is here, and therefore this will be a successful venture. We thank you, Lord. We give the rest of the proceedings to you, and we honor you that you have caused us to be a part of this great occasion. And we look forward to your blessing upon us as we move forward. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
You may be seated. Thank you so much, Pastor Thompson, or as we call her at Fellowship Tabernacle, Pastor Shelley. The Ashe Company is a Jamaican social enterprise at the intersection of theater, performance, and social development. Ashe uses music, dance, and drama to educate, empower, and entertain. Known for its dynamic triple threat performers, Ashe delivers powerful, purpose-driven productions that address social issues, celebrate Afro-Caribbean culture, and energize audiences with the vibrant soul of Jamaica. To open our event this morning, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ashe.
Attention all passengers and crew, now docking at the gateway to global trade. Welcome to the heart of Jamaica's maritime power, where vision meets velocity, and the tides carry dreams to shore. This is the Port Authority of Jamaica. Leaders for port and sea, prepare to disembark for excellence.
Ports and shipping lanes, through sun or rain, ships make their way to Kingston Freeport. With purpose bold, they dock with pride, the Port Authority, the leaders of land and sea, of land and sea. From cruise to cargo, they lead the way, Montego Bay to Kingston Bay. Caymanas rise, zones are made, a gateway to global trade. The leaders of port and sea, Port Authority.
Hey, this is a momentous occasion, and we had to use reggae music to celebrate Caymanas Special Economic Zone. Hey!
Pull up the vibes that you're playing. Can you play some more? Can you play some more? Lift it up, jack it up, pull it up, come again now. Can you play some more? Can you play some more?
Yeah, no, you got me rocking in a corner with all the lights them turned down low. Can't express how me glad me come round, yeah. I never seen so much good vibes flow.
Everywhere I look, it's like family. I see no strangers around.
The whole massive is here.
And today we no care.
So make the violence dead.
Make you rock it instead.
Jump and pull off, every man get ready now. Pull up the vibes that you're playing. Can you play some more? Can you play some more?
Give me the good vibes now, then.
Lift it up, check it up, pull it up, come again now. Can you play some more? Can you play some more?
Now, introducing Lady Kiki. Talk to her now.
Now pop no style. Now pop no style. Strictly roots. Yes, give me a little bass, but my wind up my waist. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Now tell me, what can you do to stop a man from trying? I wanna know. I say I wanna know now.
What can you do to stop a man from trying?
Yes, I wanna know.
What can you do to stop a man from trying?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing you can do to stop a man from trying.
Oh, but with that big broad smile. Impossible for a man with eyes not to stay.
There is no reason.
No reason to be so upset. Now that you got everything you should know, girl. You're every man's fantasy.
When me not a promise, you no bling bling for all your girl. I just love when woman fling control your girl. And make your head swirl, and make your body twirl, and make you wanna be my one and only baby girl. Nice half the neck, me give you love to keep you warm. Girl, you never get this kind of loving from your bond. And now you want your card, so me just can't perform. And hey, yo, I just said that's it, love.
I'm still in love with you, boy.
Well, I'm a hustler and a player, and you know I'm not a stayer. That's the way I get my love.
I'm still in love with you, boy.
Well, girl, try to understand that a man is just a man. That's the way I give my love.
I'm still in love.
Yes, I'm still in love. What a man gotta do, what a man gotta do.
All right, so we're here to celebrate the Caymanas Special Economic Zone. Groundbreaking, and with the Asher Company, we just want to celebrate with you. Just want to vibe with you, man. Oh,
Remember the songs used to make me rock away. Those were the days when love used to reign. Yeah,
I said
we dance all night to the songs they played. We can come again, do it just the same. Yeah,
hey, now I feel it in my heart. Hey. Even such a golden time had to part, yeah. Now there's hardly any safe place left to go. Someone's bound to come, try to spoil the show.
Party love, you spin the tricks away. Play Stevie, play. Sample Kenny Day, yeah. We dance all night to the songs they play. We can come again, do it just the same. Yeah.
And we don't need dance, I say, where we will have to reggae music. I say we must answer to wind up, jump up. When you hear sweet reggae, the Asher Company, I go take it to them. Pull
up the vibes that you're playing. Can you play some more? Can you you play some more?
Give me the good vibes, oh yeah.
Lift it up, chuck it up, pull it up, come again now. Can you play some more? Can you play some more?
Hear this now.
Pull up the vibes that you're playing. Can you play some more? Can you play some more? Lift it up, chuck it up.
Wow.
Ashley.
I know you can do better than that. What an awesome performance. I don't know about you, but I think song and dance have to be the most advanced form of creative expression. Can I tell you that in my mind I'm a singer and a dancer? Now in my mind, and I'm going to ask Conroy to test it. Conroy, you think you might have a work for me? Good morning and welcome once again to the official launch and groundbreaking of the Caymanas Special Economic Zone. If you've only just arrived, I am your master of ceremonies, Stacey Ann Smith. In some circles, Mr. Jan, they call me Miss Peggy Big Daughter, because Miss Peggy is my mother and I am her eldest daughter. It's always a pleasure to be part of these historic events, ones that mark the beginning of a new era in Jamaica. Imagine me telling my grandchildren that I was here when we broke ground for the Caymanas Special Economic Zone, an initiative that I believe will have generational impact on this country. Before I get carried away, let me observe protocol by acknowledging the august presence of the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Good morning to you, sir. The Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator the Honorable Aubin Hill. Mr. Alok Jan, Chairman of the Port Authority of Jamaica. Professor Gordon Shirley, President and CEO of the Port Authority of Jamaica. Let me also acknowledge His Excellency, Her Excellency, Elsa Moreira Marcelino de Castro, Ambassador of Brazil to Jamaica. Let me acknowledge the opposition spokesman on industry, investment, and commerce, Mr. Anthony Hilton, the heads of agencies and specially invited guests, members of the media. Thank you all for joining us this morning as we take another step in the journey of establishing Jamaica as the fourth node in the global logistics hub. It is indeed a big ambition. That's the long-term goal for the government. Yes, it deserves a round of applause. Dreaming big and executing as well. I absolutely love that. I was talking with Pastor Shelley before we started, and we were just talking about how wonderful it feels to know that we have really great things that are happening. Sometimes you don't know what's going on in the background, but these events help you to get a sense of all the work that's happening to bring this kind of development to the fore, and we couldn't be more pleased. It's a big ambition, and I've heard the PM describe it as the stuff of dreams, and he's not wrong. I'm pretty sure it's something that our next speaker dreams about. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President and CEO of the Port Authority of Jamaica, Professor the Honorable Gordon Shirley.
Thank you, Madam Master of Ceremonies. Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, the Honorable Aubin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, members of the Diplomatic Corps, led by Ambassador de Castro, international investors, members of the private sector, the opposition spokesperson, for Industry, Investment and Commerce, the Honorable Anthony Hilton, members of the public sector agencies, representatives of the media, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good afternoon. It's still morning. It's good, still morning. Today's event to break ground for the commencement of construction of the Caymanas Special Economic Zone is a defining moment in the transformation of our economic landscape. Jamaicans at home and abroad understand the importance of our location close to the major markets in North America, South America, Latin America, and the Caribbean. And they also know we are very close to the major trade lanes, bringing goods from Asia going west and from north going south, from south going north, and vice versa. They know the value of the Kingston Harbor. They know the importance of the public port infrastructure, which has developed over many years. The truth is that Jamaicans here and abroad have long had an ambition of our country putting together the pieces to launch a new engine of growth in shipping and logistics using these various assets. 10 years ago, the most honorable Prime Minister, just having taken office, called together the Port Authorities team to review the challenges that PAJ faced in financing the needed infrastructure to transform the Kingston Container Terminal. At that point, the Panama Canal was looming. It was just about to open. The 15,000 TEU vessels were getting ready to come into our waters, and we had not yet made the decisions to invest. Having reviewed the proposal that had been made for a 30-year concession agreement, he sanctioned it, but told us that we needed to think big. He said we should not allow growth to overcome us, that we would become limited as some other ports in other jurisdictions have been. He articulated a strategy to attract private investments, not just in the terminal, but in the port community. He envisioned a greatly expanded port that would be among the fastest growing in the world. He urged us not to limit the ports collectively, the growth of the ports, and asked that we create space for expansion. His vision was that of a growing port which would attract new investments and create many good jobs. And of course, he spoke about the ultimate objective of creating a world-class logistics hub. The location and infrastructure have become even more important in the context of growing trade turmoil and uncertainties. In this environment, international investors are looking for what they're looking for is a country which is, one, close to the major markets in the region, two, which is neutral, three, which has a modern and efficient port infrastructure, four, which has the right legislative work in place, five, where the necessary space has been created with all the relevant infrastructure to facilitate their rapid investment in facilities and systems for logistics and manufacturing. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone, a 700-acre logistic park, served by globally efficient terminals in Kingston, interconnected with dedicated roads and rail transport to the ports, adequately served by the necessary utilities and services, constructed to the highest international specification and standards, designed to be resilient to the major natural hazards, this is the place that they will want to locate their operations. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone is being developed to create a large number of skilled and semi-skilled jobs in manufacturing, technology, and logistics. It will attract foreign direct investment, and it will create economic diversification and GDP growth. It will boost the volumes of the Port of Kingston. Efficient ports attract investments in logistics. Increasing investments in logistics and logistic flows will result in larger volumes of cargo through the ports. Larger volumes of cargo lead to further investment in improving the efficiency of the ports, and a virtuous cycle is therefore created and repeated. The pieces of the puzzle are falling rapidly into place, consistent with the vision that has been outlined by the PM to the PAJ 10 years ago. Today, we will hear more about how the pieces have come together from the PAJ's chairman and the senior advisor to the Prime Minister, Mr. Alok Jan, CD. We also hear from the Honorable Aubin Hill, Minister of Trade and Investment and Commerce, and from the architect of the transformation, the Most Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness. Please allow me to acknowledge and say a special word of welcome and thanks to representatives of several organizations that have helped to get us to this point. I begin with the board of the Port Authority of Jamaica and thank them for their guidance and support over these 10 years. We specifically want to identify them, our chairman, Alok Jan, Mr. Alston Douglas, OD, the Honorable Lickerton Shirley, OJ, Dr. Velma Ricketts Walker, CD, Mr. Wayne Mackenzie, CD, Mr. Edward Gabadon, Mr. Jerome Smallin, Dr. Kathy Ann Brown, and Ms. Roxanne Linton. Also like to acknowledge members of the Caymanas Special Economic Zone Enterprise Team, including the senior executives of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, led by PS, the Permanent Secretary, Arlene Williams, the Ministry of Finance, led by Finance Secretary, Mrs. Darlene Morrison, the Planning Institute of Jamaica, the Development Bank of Jamaica, the heads of agency for the National Water Commission, National Works Agency, Factories Corporation of Jamaica, JAMPRO, Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority, Urban Development Corporation, Jamaica Customs Agency, and the National Irrigation Commission. If ever there was a case of joined-up government, this one is it. It's a very large enterprise team, but it has done its work. I'd also like to acknowledge members of the Diplomatic Corps who were very helpful in arranging the visits and logistic to the logistic zones across the globe, in Asia, in the Middle East, in America, North and South. I want to acknowledge members of the international financial institutions and the international development agencies for their very strong interest in the project. The World Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, the European Union have all done studies on the various aspects of the Jamaica Logistics Hub Initiative. Members of the local financial community, many are here, who have had a special interest in the financing of the Caymanas Special Economic Zone. They have listened to the budget presentations by the Prime Minister and his exhortation that PAJ monetize the BPO asset and to reinvest them in this project. They have heard and they want to know more. Members of the port community, we also thank you for your support and contribution in realizing this vision, especially to our rapidly growing public terminals in Kingston, as Kingston Freeport Terminal Limited and Kingston Wharves Limited, members of the Shipping Association of Jamaica, the representatives of the agents, brokers, truckers, and unions in the port community, members of the manufacturing, distribution, and hospitality sector, who we hope will be major beneficiaries of this development. You will forgive me, but I must also thank, very importantly, the member of the management and staff of the Port Authority who have embraced the vision and have worked tirelessly to bring it to life. I acknowledge our employees at all levels. I would especially like to acknowledge Mr. Gary Lawrence, our Senior Vice President of Engineering and Port Projects. Gary, please stand. Mr. Ishmael Leon, our Acting Senior Vice President of Finance. Ms. Kelly Greenaway, our Senior Vice President of Legal and Corporate Affairs. And Mr. Chris Hamilton, our Vice President of Engineering, who has been integral to the project. We acknowledge the work of the Media and Communications Unit at PAJ and the contractors and consultants who have put together the various elements of today's events. On behalf of the Port Authority and the integrated team of agencies that have worked hard to get us to the starting line of construction of the Caymanas Special Economic Zone, I welcome you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for coming, and we implore you to enjoy the remainder of the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Shirley. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Gordon Shirley and the team at the Port Authority, I think they deserve another round of applause. Man, I have had the privilege of supporting communications with the organization, and when you begin to look through the body of work, it really is mind-blowing. And I mean, many of you understand the kind of gymnastics that's involved at every stage, and it really is wonderful. So big up yourself, Professor Shirley, and to the team. Thank you so much. Before I invite the next speaker, who's also very close to the process, I need to correct something. I did not properly acknowledge the Ambassador of Brazil to Jamaica, Mr. Antonio Saricarte. Did I pronounce that correctly, sir? Thank you so very much. Help me welcome now to the lectern our next speaker, the chairman of the Port Authority of Jamaica, Mr. Alok Jan. Clap him, man, clap him.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our Master of Ceremonies said this was the stuff of dreams. And I can tell you, this is a day I've been dreaming about for a long, long time. Allow me to adopt the protocols that have already been established. But I must recognize my Prime Minister and Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation, under whose portfolio the Port Authority falls. Prime Minister, thank you for being here. I know your schedule is always busy, but I know it's especially busy right now. As I said, I've been dreaming about this day for a long time, so allow me to begin with a personal reflection. As young as I may seem, I've been around a while. My journey with the Port of Kingston began nearly 3 decades ago, in 1996. As a young professional at Price Waterhouse, I was part of the team tasked with exploring public-private partnership options for the Kingston Container Terminal. 20 years later, I had the privilege of leading the PwC team that supported the PAJ in negotiating the landmark 30-year concession agreement with Kingston Freeport Terminal. Since then, KFTL has invested over 400 million US dollars in dredging the channel, in cranes, straddle carriers, high-tech operating systems. Over that period, cargo volumes have increased by almost 60%, and the workforce has expanded by over 50%, creating more than 500 high-quality jobs. We're not talking about minimum wage jobs, high-quality jobs. And we're not finished. We're expanding further. This year, an additional 50 million US dollars are going to be invested in new equipment. And just 2 weeks ago, you may recall, we did the signing ceremony and groundbreaking for the Westlands expansion, which is an 80 million US dollar expansion that will increase the storage capacity of the port by 25%. You see those containers? That's when you heard Prof talk about TEUs. That's a TEU, a 20-foot equivalent unit. We now have 2.5 million of those that traverse our port every year. So I started this journey at Pricewaterhouse as a consultant to the Port Authority, and nearly 30 years ago. So today, to come full circle and stand here as chairman of the Port Authority to break ground on this project, our nation's flagship logistics project, is not only professionally gratifying, but deeply personal. The transformation of the Port of Kingston has become a part of my own professional journey. All right, so what are we really building here? I think you've heard some of it. We're building much more than infrastructure. There's going to be a lot of infrastructure, but we're building much more than infrastructure. We're laying the foundation for a new engine of economic growth for the Jamaican economy. Our long-term vision is bold. We want to position Jamaica as the 4th global logistics node. And which ones are the other 3? Singapore, Dubai, and Rotterdam. We want to be the 4th. Way back in '96, when I was meeting potential partners for the Kingston Container Terminal, a global shipping industry expert said to me, there is literally no better place geographically than Jamaica to be the transshipment hub of the Americas. We sit at the literal geographic center of the Americas. We are so central, in fact, that if a ship exits the Panama Canal and somehow they lose all their navigational equipment and just drift unguided with the trade winds and the currents, they're likely going to end up in our territorial waters. Now, to leverage this ideal location that we've been blessed with, the Prime Minister's tasked the Port Authority to act not just as a regulator or as a landlord for the port, but as a development catalyst. He wants us to use our balance sheet, our institutional capacity, and our track record to de-risk this asset and attract private investment. Now, this is not the first time that the Port Authority has played that role. Some of you may recall decades ago when our 807 garment manufacturing sector collapsed. It was the PAJ that stepped in to repurpose our own garment export facilities into modern BPO real estate. We de-risked that space, we built it out, we attracted tenants, and we helped to give birth to what is now one of Jamaica's most dynamic industries. Now that BPO and global services have matured and the private sector is readily investing in those on their own, the Prime Minister has said that we should monetize our BPO assets and help fund the next frontier of economic development, which is logistics and industrial transformation. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone, ladies and gentlemen, is the flagship of that transformation. Now, this project has been in the making a long, long time, as we all know. Some of you may remember there was a plan to build out a brand new port and logistics facility at the Goat Islands. That plan ultimately was determined not to be viable, and in my opinion, rightly so, on environmental grounds, and it would be way too expensive. Following that, the focus shifted to this piece of land, Caymanas. The World Bank funded a pre-feasibility study. There was a comprehensive master plan done, and there were several other studies and market soundings. Then in 2022, Jamaica hosted the World Free Zone Conference. And Minister Hill, you'll recall, we brought global investors right here. We had a big thing that we erected, and we took them up on it, and we showed them the site, and we did our best to present the vision. And we received real expressions of interest. But we also heard a very clear message. Vision is necessary, but not sufficient. The investors told us, de-risk the project, prepare the land, put in the infrastructure, ensure that the utilities and security are in place, and give us something that we can occupy from day one. In short, they said to us, build it and we will come. And that is what the Prime Minister has mandated us to do, and that is what we're here to do today. Now, let me give you an idea of the magnitude of the scope of works here. This is, the Port Authority has undertaken some very large transformational projects, but this one is by far the largest development project ever undertaken by the Port Authority. It will be executed in 3 major phases. First is land preparation. So the land, you will know, you'll see is downward sloping. There are hills over there. So it can be prone to flooding. And you can't build a world-class logistics hub and have it flooded out, right? So we are going to be raising this site by 2 meters, and installing drainage infrastructure to withstand a 150-year storm event. That will be followed by infrastructure works. All the core utilities, water, sewage, electricity, stormwater, telecoms, all will be installed, and they will be underground and fully integrated with the road network. And then the third phase will be the commercial development. We are going to construct facilities that will be ready to lease on day one to accelerate investor uptake. Remember, what the investors told us is they want something that they can come and occupy on day one, and then while they're here, they will build out the rest. So all the preliminary works, the surveys, the engineering designs, the permits are complete, and we are ready to commence phase 1, which will cover 200 acres of the entire 700 acres. That will be done over the next 4 years with an investment of over $8 billion. During construction, the project will generate 500 direct jobs and 200 indirect jobs. Now, it is not our intention to build out all 700 acres of this on our own. In accordance with the Prime Minister's intention and mandate, our role is merely to catalyze the project, to lead the way. So we're going to catalyze it, de-risk it, and then attract private sector investment through long-term partnerships and concessions, just as we have successfully done at the port. Now, it would be remiss of me not to recognize a number of people and organizations. This has has been very much a team effort. While the Port Authority has led, there are many, many people that have played an important role to get us here. First of all, I want to thank our management team, led by Professor Gordon Shirley. Thank you for your hard work and perseverance. And as Prof did, allow me to especially recognize Mr. Gary Lawrence, our Senior Vice President of Engineering, who has personally done a lot of the heavy lifting. There's very, very complex engineering involved. To the Board of the Port Authority, thank you for your guidance and steadfast support. To our various stakeholders in the shipping and logistics industry, Kingston Freeport Terminal, CMA CGM, Kingston Wharves, Shipping Association of Jamaica, the port workers, the unions, we're in this together. Thank you for your support and unwavering commitment to Jamaica's maritime future. I also want to thank and recognize the opposition spokesman, Mr. Anthony Hilton, who has been an ardent advocate and proponent of the logistics industry in Jamaica. Thank you. To our parent ministry, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, and our permanent secretary, Ms. Arlene Williams, thank you for your collaboration and strategic leadership. To our sister agencies within MEGJC, the UDC. The UDC still owns this land. We have agreed for the PAJ to buy the land, but we're still on their piece of land. The Factories Corporation of Jamaica, NWA, NWC, NEPA, your technical input and collaboration have been invaluable. To Minister Hill and the agencies that fall under your ministry, sir, this Jamaica Special Economic Zones Authority and JAMPRO, thank you for your partnership and for carrying the message of Caymanas to the world. And Prime Minister, I want to thank you for your vision for the country, but more than just vision, thank you for your courage and the ability to execute that brings that vision to life. Thank you for challenging us, and thank you for your confidence in us to execute this. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, this is much more than just a groundbreaking. Today, we're laying the foundation for what will become Jamaica's next economic engine. Thank you.
Welcome to the new era in logistics. The vision of transforming Kingston into the leading regional transshipment hub and positioning Jamaica as the gateway to global trade is being realized. Sea, air, road connectivity, moving people, cargo, skills and services, driving economic growth. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone is the next essential step in our journey to becoming the port of choice for first-class services, marked by speed and efficiency, attracting investment, catering to the movers and shakers of the global supply chain. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone, the Caribbean's premier green, smart logistics and innovation hub, a game changer for the region, combining industrial strength with sustainable community living. Since 2022, the Port Authority of Jamaica has been refining plans for the development of this world-class facility as part of Jamaica's Global Logistics Hub initiative and the achievement of a broader vision to attract foreign direct investment, increase exports and create an environment through which businesses thrive and Jamaicans can maximize their earning potential. Driven by strategic initiatives focused on improving the port and shipping sector, that vision has already delivered tangible results, beginning with steps to increase the existing capacity at the Port of Kingston. More than $400 million in investments spent to upgrade the Kingston Container Terminal as part of the concession agreement between the Port Authority of Jamaica and shipping line CMA CGM. $50 million set aside for the acquisition of additional equipment in the 2025-26 fiscal year to enhance operations. The $80 million Westlands expansion project to expand the footprint of the port towards improved operational efficiency. And finally, the launch of the Caymanas Special Economic Zone, a world-class logistics hub that will be among the best in the world. Strategically located at the edge of Kingston, with direct access to both the Port of Kingston and Norman Manley International Airport, the Caymanas Special Economic Zone spans over 700 acres along the Mandela Highway. This eco-centric development incorporates several natural habitats into its sustainable design. Our logistics park features ambient and cold storage warehouses, cross-docking and third-party logistics facilities, plus e-commerce fulfillment centers. The manufacturing zone includes light industries and value-added processing, agribusiness and pharmaceuticals, as well as electronics assembly. And our digital services hub offers BPO, fintech, and supply chain analytics capabilities. All of this is powered by solar microgrids, smart logistics systems, and sustainable infrastructure, including recycling facilities and electric shuttle services. Operating under the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Act, businesses will enjoy a 12.5% corporate income tax rate, customs duty and GCT exemptions, no foreign exchange restrictions, streamlined regulatory processes, and a one-stop government office for all approvals. With access to over 1 million skilled English-speaking workers across Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon and St. Thomas, investors benefit from a workforce that provides a competitive advantage. But the Caymanas Special Economic Zone isn't just about business. It's about creating a complete live, work, play ecosystem. This includes mixed-use housing for workers and executives, health and wellness facilities, childcare and education centers, plus retail and dining spaces. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone will deliver thousands of direct and indirect jobs, over 4,000 potential positions, significant foreign direct investment, access to the $560 billion third-party logistics market, diversification of Jamaica's economy, and increased exports, plus multiplier effects across the construction, transportation, and professional services sectors. All of this reflects a single cohesive vision: Jamaica becoming a disruptor in regional logistics and the gateway to global trade. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone, the achievement of a strategic objective to create something extraordinary for Jamaica now and for generations to come.
So many wonderful possibilities. More foreign direct investment, increase in exports, and an environment where businesses can thrive in an even bigger way. Mr. Jan spoke about Jamaica's geographic location, and I do believe that it is God's gift to Jamaica. I think God loves Jamaica more than any other country, not true? When you think of just how strategically located we are, I mean, it is absolutely perfect for this kind of endeavor. And the government is keen on leveraging that strategic position. Because no matter how many talents and gifts God give you, you have to work it. Not true, Pastor Shelley? You have to work it. And that's exactly what is being done. Our next speaker is very passionate about this particular subject matter. Please welcome the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator the Honorable Aubin Hill.
What a most wonderful day today is. It's amazing. Listen to me now. Prof. Shirley and the board had to go out to get a professional firm to tell the story that they just tell in video, just to try and match the kind of quality story that Alok John, not John, Alok Jan told to us in words. You know, when I read Far From the Maddening Crowd by Thomas Hardy at Monroe, I had to do it for literature. There was a scene in there where Sergeant Frank Troy was in love with Elizabeth Everdeen, who happened to have been somebody else's wife. And and he was, Sergeant Frank Troy was an amazing swordsman. And Hardy said, when he finished with Bathsheba using his sword to carve her image in nothing, it was an amazing sight. When Alok Jan finished telling that story this morning, what they're going to have under here, and how they must protect the water, I just felt that it was great. Alok, you did a great job. Alok is one of the first persons I met when I came back here to run NCB. He was the very young audit partner from Price Waterhouse at the time. And the story goes, he hasn't aged one bit. The story goes that the one or two gray hairs you see, he has been to his hairdresser to make sure them put some gray in there so him look like him should really be the chairman of Port Authority. The Prime Minister, no. Prime Minister, he told a good story, that's why. So, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, our Prime Minister, which is why we're here. This is really ramped up the vision to be here. Alok Jan, of course, the Chairman. Professor Honorable Gordon Shirley. He's President and Chief Executive Officer. I have to identify Anthony Hilton, because otherwise he'll think it's political malice that I bear, but he has been here at the beginning of this. He will want to take fathership, but we will talk about that separately. Mrs. Kelly Dawn Hamilton, the Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority, one of the 20 agencies in our ministry, and Mrs. Shulette Cox, who is the CEO of JAMPRO, and together they have traveled with me everywhere I've been to carry this message. Industry leaders, media practitioners, very distinguished ladies, and specially invited guests. For well over a decade, the vision of Caymanas as a globally competitive special economic zone meandered through high-flown discussions and some delayed implementation. Many talked, some drafted, but no one delivered until now. Let me tell you something. Prime Minister just opened Harmony Cove last week, and one of the things that they said to us is big investment take time. Prof, you and I know that it doesn't happen overnight. We're happy you're here today at this after all this time, and you've been there shepherding it to make sure it gets here. I'm very pleased to be here in St. Catherine as the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Jamaica's Business Ministry, for the project launch of Caymanas Special Economic Zone. You've heard a lot about it. We're willing to welcome, after this tenure, a solid record of the Andrew Holness administration, local and foreign investors. Don't miss the local ones, because 10 years from now, we don't want to hear how the government gave the thing to foreign investors who want to come in quickly. Understand this is a great opportunity. Today, the Andrew Holness administration is breaking ground at the first phase of the about 700 acres of the Caymanas Special Economic Zone. We plan and have begun to build Jamaica as the logistics hub and trade platform in this region, indeed to be the fourth hub logistic node around the world. Alok told you what they were. Sugar and bananas are gone. They are no longer the leading efforts in our economy. But thank the Lord, the Caymanas Special Economic Zone is here, and we're launching it today. So this is good news. The launch of the first portion of the Caymanas Economic Zone marks a historic strategic decision and milestone in Jamaica's intention and journey to become, at least in part, a service-driven logistics center in the economy. Most importantly, We are building the future. We have to find jobs and new employment for our young people. They depend on us to do that. The government is investing in this to chart a new course and area for our economy. Jamaica Logistics Hub Initiative was launched in 2013, and it's now at a place where we are looking to be the gateway in the Caribbean and wider world for this. I have traveled a lot with Shalette and Kelly Dawn, 10 different business missions, and we've carried the message. Alok told you that we had the World Free Zone Organization Conference in Montego Bay. We opened up the World Free Zone after the pandemic. We took a bunch of very rich people here, very rich, and them look at it, they look at the port over there, they could see the crane them, and they could see the mountain. Oh, it's beautiful. Build it out and call us when you're ready. The Prime Minister got the message, and you know, in last October I had to make a presentation to Cabinet, and I drew two examples. Many of you will know I lived in the Middle East for 21 years. I watched Sheikh Mohammed change Dubai. He did not invite people to invest in the desert. They'd say you don't even have a palm tree, no water. So he invested in Dubai and called investors. The rest is history. Most recently, Prime Minister Rowley in Trinidad invested in what they call their industrial park. Same story. The investors are not going to come to do this for you. You have to start it. So we are starting in a portion of it, 200 acres, to make sure they see, and the other 500 acres are there. So we're launching with a clear strategy and a powerful, transparent incentive framework. You saw the incentives up there. Both local and foreign investors are invited to come. The Andrew Holness administration, the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, and the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority are making it faster and easier to invest in Jamaica and expand. We're cutting the red tape, digitizing approvals, and bringing our intellectual property framework in line with international best practices to support creative and digital industries in the SEZ. So, we're inviting everyone, and ladies and gentlemen, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we will be using the growth of the CSEZ to build a robust and sustained economic independence to bolster the political independence that we value so much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the launch of the first phase of the Caymanas Special Economic Zone. Join the Andrew Holness administration on this very noble journey. Let us choose Jamaica. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Minister. And let me invite our distinguished guests. We do have something special for you. There is a special guest wall at the back. It says, "Leave your mark." If you on your way out, or if you spin around, you can see it there. So the Port Authority will be incorporating that guest wall into the final project. So once you sign, you will become a part of that history. You will become known as one of the first guests of the Caymanas Special Economic Zone. So don't leave before you sign on that wall. Leave your mark. I think that's wonderful, isn't it? And deserves a round of applause. The PAJ thought of everything. Now, with the Caymanas Special Economic Zone, as you have heard, there will be many, many benefits, and the possibilities appear to be endless. I, for one, am just very happy to be alive, to see it come to life. It's now time for our keynote speaker, who needs no introduction, really, but I absolutely love to introduce my Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, ONPC MP.
Good afternoon, everyone. Allow me to thank Stacey for her wonderful mastery of the ceremony, and Pastor Rachel Thompson for invoking the presence of the Lord in our midst and blessing this venture, which we are about to undertake. Senator the Honorable Orbin Hill, Minister of Investment, Industry and Commerce, His Excellency Mr. Antonio S.A. Ricarte, the Ambassador of Brazil to Jamaica. Welcome, sir. Mr. Alec Jan, Chairman of the Port Authority of Jamaica. Professor the Honorable Gordon Shirley, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Port Authority, executive heads of public and private sector organizations, and I see a few in the audience, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I was just checking. I don't know if you recall the movie Field of Dreams. Some of you may recall that movie in which Kevin Costner was the star, and he was hearing a voice in his head saying, "Build it and he will come." And that voice kept haunting him, and he ended up building a baseball pitch in the middle of a cornfield. And of course, after building the baseball pitch, all kinds of miraculous and wonderful things happen. I'm not comparing this to the movie because, of course, this is a cane field and we are not proposing to build a baseball pitch. What we are proposing is far more spectacular and a far greater moment and of more serious substance. So we didn't just call you out here in the middle of an abandoned cane field to show you a dream. Today is the end of dreaming and the beginning of visioning. Today is the start of the conversion of a dream into reality. My friend Tony is here, Tony Hilton, the opposition spokesperson on industry and commerce. And he also had that dream. We share the dream. It is Jamaica's dream to see finally a special economic zone created here on these Caymanas lands. Sometimes when we speak to the public, we who are the opinion leaders and influencers tend to communicate to our public in such a way as to convey automaticity and instantaneous gratification, meaning that when we articulate a dream and a vision, we tend to subliminally communicate to the public that it will come to fruition tomorrow and that it is automatic, that it will happen. And that leads to even greater frustration to the public when it doesn't happen tomorrow. In fact, when it doesn't happen at all, we then lose our credibility. So I tend not to speak so much to the vision and the dream. I tend to want to position myself as the builder, meaning I come into the picture when the blocks are ready to be laid. And I found it to be necessary to do that because Jamaica is not short of brilliant people with great ideas. We are not short of dreamers who can articulate and sell the dream. What we have been terribly short of are the people to get it done. And if we are to win back the credibility that we have lost of years of dreaming and visioning, and if we are to win back our public to have support for what their government is doing, we need to start executing and completing the things we have started. And we also have to be realistic with the public, for them to understand that when you take on projects of these magnitude, you're not going to see the transformation tomorrow. It will take time. This project is more than 10 years in the making. I was a younger member of the cabinet of Bruce Golding at the time, when the ideas of, at that time, the notion was to divest the port of Kingston and to develop a special economic zone on the Caymanas lands. We traveled to China to bring in investments. The result of that is the North-South Highway. We also engaged with other companies to develop these lands. We undertook all kinds of surveys. Administration changed. This became part of what is called the Greater Logistics Hub project. And Tony would have led that leg of the dream. And of course, it would have been very difficult to do it at that time, given the economic circumstances that prevailed. And I say that to make the point that no matter what you want to do, it can't be done without the economy to support it. And I have to say that over and over and over and over and over and over again until every Jamaican citizen understands that you need to have an economy in order to do these things. If you don't have the economy, these things can't happen. Why I'm saying this? Because again, our public opinion leaders, our influencers, have communicated to the public only one side of the story. Yes, we're going to fix your road, we're going to give you a hospital, we're going to give you a garbage truck, we're going to give you everything you want. But they don't communicate the importance of having a well-run economy. So today, what you are seeing is not just the materialization of a dream, but you're also seeing the dividends of a well-run economy. When the two things come together, great things can be achieved. Chairman John and President Shirley pointed out the financial underpinnings of this, but it may have passed you without recognition. The Port Authority is going to undertake the development, turnkey, of 50 acres of the 700 acres of land here. How are they going to do this? They are going to divest themselves of certain operations that they have through our local stock market and other means. And the resources from that will be used to largely finance the development here. Some people might say, but this is not a port operation. Ah, my friend. This is exactly a port operation. Because the port, it is not only where the land meets the sea and the ships can dock. You can have 1 million ships coming here, but if they are not being filled up after they have unloaded, you have lost half of the potential of your port. So you need activities around the port, not just to receive the containers, meaning we are an importing nation, but we also need activities that we are going to put back on those ships that will give us the money to pay for the things we are importing. See the connection? Yes. So, with a good economy, the Port Authority would be able to raise the financing by divesting itself of certain assets that it has, and then use those financing to create a new set of assets which will help its balance sheet to grow, but more than that, helps the nation to grow. So, today's event to break ground and commence the construction of the Caymanas Special Economic Zone marks a defining moment in the continued transformation of Jamaica's economic landscape. It has long been the ambition of the country to put all the pieces together to launch a new engine of growth in logistics and shipping. When I assumed office in 2016, I laid out a vision for the development of Jamaica into a leading shipping and logistics center, not just in the region, but in the world. I articulated a vision and the accompanying strategy for its implementation, organized into 3 phases. Phase 1, the upgrading of Kingston terminals, and that first phase focused on investing in the public terminals in Kingston with global developments, including the Panama Canal expansion. It became essential for Kingston to accommodate larger post-Panamax vessels. To this end, my administration authorized a 30-year concession agreement between the Port Authority and CMA CGM. Over US $400 million was invested in the Kingston Harbor over 5 years. This included dredging the access channel, rebuilding Gordon Quay, installing new terminal equipment, upgrading computer systems, and implementing a new security framework. The result? A modern terminal with a certified capacity of 3.2 million 20-foot equivalent tons, or TEUs as they are called. Cargo volumes have grown year over year since the initial round of investment was completed in 2020, surpassing 60% growth by 2025. Even amidst global disruptions like tariff wars, the COVID-19 pandemic, the war in the Ukraine, and Middle East instability, our port has grown. This consistent growth highlighted the need for further expansion, ushering in phase 2 of the vision. And Tony, you will know what phase 2 is because we have had the discussion as to what it is that we plan to do. 2 weeks ago, I presided over the signing of a lease agreement between the Port Authority of Jamaica and CMA CGM for the Westlands immediately adjacent to the terminal. And that is a US $80 million investment to develop a 15 hectare, that's about what, 2.6 acres or something like that? Yes. Property that's beside it called the Westlands, with the further intention to develop another 15 hectares when this first 15 is completed. Additionally, I have announced in Parliament our decision to relocate Tinson Pen aeronautical operations to the Norman Manley International Airport and the rerouting of the existing Marcus Garvey Drive to the north of Tinson Pen, releasing lands for incorporation into the port operations. This will ensure that the Port of Kingston can expand without any constraint. And believe me when I tell you, I have been on the tallest crane in the Port of Kingston. And, you know, for a man in my position, I should not be afraid of heights. But it was a bit concerning standing at that height, looking at the growth of the Kingston terminal. And when they explained to me the constraints that they have, because now they are receiving the largest ships in the world, they are receiving the post-Panamax vessels. And when one of those containers offload, it will create significant congestion on the existing facility, and therefore we have to go to the Westlands. But I guarantee you that within 5 years, the first phase of the Westland will be taken up. And then when we do the second phase of the Westland, you can just write that off. That's gone already. And therefore, we have to start planning to incorporate the Tinson Pen lands to ensure that our port can expand without any future restrictions. So that is the plan. But it is not just port operations that we have to consider in those areas. The entire Kingston Harbor is going to see a surge in port and shipping related investments, because already we are seeing private investments in a maritime ecosystem in and around that area. We are seeing increased investments in tug services, in bunkering, and in dry dock and vessel repairs. In fact, we have our first ship repair facility in Jamaica, the German ship repair, which is doing quite well. And that is going to, by itself, attract even more shipping into the harbor. So the dream of Jamaica becoming a shipping and logistics hub is moving even closer now to being a reality. And that is because of strategic, instrumental actions of the government, and also the great signs that our economy has shown to foreign investors to come in and put stake in Jamaica's economy. So now we have to look at the third phase of the development of Jamaica as a logistics hub. So today we commence the third stage, the Caymanas Special Economic Zone, where logistics infrastructure will complement our world-class transshipment port. With this, Jamaica will transition from transshipment to becoming a fully fledged logistics hub for the region and beyond. In November, I announced our national pivot to growth, signaling that we have achieved our objective of restoring macroeconomic stability and that our national economic strategy would now transition towards leveraging that macroeconomic stability to achieve robust levels of economic growth. I laid out our growth strategy with the call Aspire. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone is a key component of that national growth strategy and will impact virtually all pillars of Aspire. The A in Aspire, and that is access to economic opportunity for all. The development of the Caymanas Special Economic Zone will generate thousands of new jobs, skilled and semi-skilled, in logistics, manufacturing, quality assurance, tech services, pharmaceutical services, all kinds of, including engineering services. It will provide new career pathways for young Jamaicans, especially in Kingston, Portmore, and St. Catherine. Yes, you notice I said including Kingston, the parish of Portmore, and St. Catherine. Ensuring inclusive growth across all of these urban centers. Friends, there is a view which is that whenever the government speaks about economic growth, it is only limited to some people. We have been accused of practicing trickle-down economics. And that is primarily because when we communicate, we emphasize we want to grow the economy. And persons listening will say, yeah, I see all the buildings going up. I see the new crane. But what is in it for me? How does my household grow as a result of the economy growing? Because remember now, our history has always been a history of dispossession. So there is never the assumption that when the government speaks about growth, you can take it automatically that the government is also speaking about the growth of your household. And so we have been at pains to declare that when we say growth, we are talking about inclusive growth, that you have a stake in the growth of the country, and you will share in the growth of the country. And the fairest way to ensure that you participate in the growth is to ensure that you get employment and a good income. There are other ways in which we ensure that Jamaicans participate in the growth. We do that through the provision of a social safety net, whether it is the PAJ program or what we call the social pension, or through the solidarity program, or as you will see, through HEART, training our youngsters to ensure that they can participate in the growth. So the Partnership for Prosperity is the government will run the economy well. We will bring in private investment where public investment is not sufficient or not possible. We will work together to create industry and enterprise, and we will ensure that all our Jamaicans can participate in industry and enterprise through fair, meaningful, and rewarding employment. And that is the Partnership for Prosperity. What we're going to do here will create tens of thousands of jobs. And every Jamaican who will be a part of this will be able to share in the growth and prosperity that this will deliver. The S in Aspire stands for safety and security. The development of the Caymanas Special Economic Zone will incorporate advanced security infrastructure and integrated law enforcement coordination to ensure a safe and orderly operating environment, embracing modern surveillance, control access, and digital monitoring from the outset. The zone will set new standards for secure business operations. Moreover, the project will contribute to national security by creating economic alternatives to crime, especially for at-risk youth in surrounding communities, reinforcing the principle that safety and opportunity goes hand in hand. But I have a statement which I must make here. As I made a few weeks ago when I opened a similar operation to this by the UDC called the Raintree Development. And at the Raintree Development, as I did when I broke ground for the Spanish Town Hospital wing that is being built, I pointed out that no government expenditure will fund any criminal. I am speaking straight into the camera, speaking to any of them watching. You will not get $1 from this project if you are involved in a criminal gang or a criminal operation. In Raintree, after we broke ground, some very bold criminals went onto the site and believed that I was not serious when I was speaking. There is no smile on my face now. Don't try it here. Those criminals who went onto the site at Raintree were properly met. And if you try it here, you will be worse properly met. The third letter in the Aspire is P. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone will be a catalyst for workforce transformation, driving demand for new and emerging skills set across multiple industries through partnership with the Heart Trust, local universities, and technical institutions. We will equip Jamaicans with globally competitive skills in areas such as supply chain management, digital logistics, precision manufacturing, and equipment maintenance. The investment in human capital ensures that our people are not just participants in growth, but leaders in innovation and productivity. The I in Aspire is for infrastructure, and the Special Economic Zone underpinned by strategic infrastructure investment, modern port facilities, road network, utility services, and digital systems. This will be, upon its completion, the most modern, in terms of its infrastructure, special economic zone within the Caribbean region. Say a few words on that very quickly. We will have to raise the site, maybe about my height. Not all areas, but in areas that are prone to any kind of weather events. And for strategic reasons too, for access purposes and so forth. We may have to do some amount of river training along the site. And there are other considerations as well. We're going to go underground with all our cabling. So you will have a seamless view within the area, which will help with resilience in terms of hurricanes and so forth. And all the architecture will be very modern architecture, using all the various environmental standards. But what I like about it is that we will also have a micro renewable grid in the development. So we will be able to supply our own production with electricity. The R in Aspire is for the reform of public bureaucracy, meaning improving the ease and speed of doing business. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone will serve as a model for streamlined business facilitation in Jamaica. It will be supported by a single window clearance system, faster permitting process, and dedicated regulatory services designed to reduce red tape and enhance investor confidence. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to give this economic zone any super special treatment. But let's be clear. Efficiency and the speed and ease of doing business is as attractive an incentive as tax relief. When a business person sits down and they say, what is the cost of regulatory compliance relative to what is the benefit of a fiscal incentive? Oftentimes, the cost of regulatory compliance is higher than any fiscal incentive that a government could give. Because oftentimes, fiscal incentives come with a sunset. Regulatory compliance is forever. Unless you get a government like ours, which is really serious about reducing the very dense and difficult regulatory environment that exists and becoming even more bureaucratic. So that strong position that we have to reduce the cost of compliance, the cost of regulation, not just to businesses, but to citizens. We are very serious about that. And you would have seen us take some steps. You know, the public may not see it in the light, but that's what it is. You know, the steps that we have taken as it relates to the introduction of digital registration and fitness and the new rules around fitness. All that is structured to do is to make it easier for our citizens. And we're looking at all regulations of the government. And as soon as we can, where they are possible, without creating confusion, we're going to reform them so that government does not become a burden on the citizen. That's the whole intention. We don't want government to be a burden on the citizen, and we don't want government to be a burden on businesses. So that's part of the growth agenda. Of course, the E is for economic diversification. And this is what we're doing here. We are providing a new opportunity for new industries to emerge, to create another stream of foreign exchange into our country that diversifies our dependence on tourism, remittances, agriculture, and financial services. So the Port Authority of Jamaica has been given a clear mandate to deliver this development within the shortest possible time. I'm confident in their ability to deliver, as they have done consistently in the past, most notably the expansion and the concession of the Kingston Container Terminal. Now, at the same time, we must confront an emerging challenge. Jamaica is now experiencing a historic low unemployment rate of just 3.3%. The lowest ever recorded. So while this is a clear sign of a strong and expanding economy, it also means that the pool of available skilled labor is tightening, particularly in technical and logistics-related fields. I want to say this. Jamaica is practically at full employment. Practically at full employment. And for this project to be successful, it's not just the infrastructure that we are bragging about. It's not the financial support that it will have. It is the people who will work here. Where are they going to come from? We can't be in a situation where, we're going to take from the rain tree, which is just down the road and is being developed, or there's another private special economic zone which is coming up, or we're going to, take from tourism. That's not what we want to do. We have to be, my favorite word, strategic and instrumental, my two favorite words, in preparing the labor force to match the expansion in the economy. So, as I travel Jamaica, I still see young and able-bodied persons not formally in the workforce or attached to education or any meaningful or productive activity. Statin estimates that there are about 50,000 such persons. Essentially, that 3.3% unemployment amounts to about 50,000 Jamaicans. Now, in any economy, you will always have a certain number of persons, even at full employment, not working. And that's because of the frictional nature of economic activities. Many of you here would have been in 2 or 3 jobs, meaning that you started out in one job and then you say, boy, I didn't like it, so I leave that job and I went to another job, or I got a better offer. But in between the time you're moving between jobs, you're unemployed, and if the survey is done and they pick you up, then you're unemployed. But you're not unemployed because there is no job. You're not unemployed because there is no skill. You're just moving between jobs. So the normal operations of the economy will throw up a certain level of unemployment. So I'm not concerned about that level. But within the 50,000 persons who are able-bodied and seeking employment, well, I shouldn't say it that way, within the 50,000 persons seeking employment and are of the requisite age, we estimate that there are about 20 to 25,000 who are unemployed because they do not have any skills. They are a loss to our economy. And we have tasked hard to find these 25,000. Go out into the communities, put on your training fairs, have specific agents out there doing your reconnaissance and surveillance and finding these youngsters. Get them into your training programs. Offer them stipends and bus fare and lunch money. But more than that, what they need mentoring. Because oftentimes they simply do not know about the opportunities that exist. They exist on the periphery of the system, and they are skeptical of the system, and they don't believe that the system is set up for them. Today, I appeal to the young man and the young woman on the corner who is wanting a job but don't know where a job is, or may have gone for a job interview and was not successful, and then leaves with the opinion that there is no space for me in this growing economy. I need you. Your country needs you. Your economy needs you. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone needs you. You are a critical element in the growth of this country. And this administration, through the Heart Trust NSTA, we will find you, we will support you, we will assist you in getting trained and getting employed so that you can claim your share in the prosperity that Jamaica is experiencing. But there will also come a time when we will have to develop flexible, fit for purpose, work permit, and residency regimes, one that facilitates the timely engagement of specialized foreign expertise where needed, but with robust safeguards to protect Jamaican interests. These safeguards must include minimum local hiring thresholds, mandatory training, and knowledge transfer, in particular, knowledge transfer. And this must be done in partnership with institutions such as the Heart Trust NSTA to rapidly scale up our local capacity. In this way, we can address short-term labor constraints while ensuring that the long-term benefits of growth are anchored in Jamaican talent. Now, Chairman John mentioned that Jamaica is in a special place. The British discovered this by accident. You know that they wanted Cuba, and they weren't successful there, so they came to a lesser defended colony. And they eventually set up in Port Royal. Now, history will show that most of the ships in the Caribbean Sea sunken, going from Colombia, coming all the way up, were sunken by pirates sailing from Port Royal. It might surprise you that pirates from Port Royal even invaded and overtook Panama. Why? Because, as Chairman John pointed out, our location, it is central, and all logical shipping routes must pass through our waters. So while we have not yet discovered oil or natural gas or, we can use our natural God-given position as an economic asset. And in fact, that is what logistics is all about. And so now we are finally doing that, taking advantage of our God-given natural asset, not to plunder bullion from ships carrying cargo of gold and other things to Europe, but this time to get them to come to our port, to offload, to break bulk, to send elsewhere, but to service their needs and to take what we produce here to the rest of the world. That is what logistics is all about, and that is why logistics makes sense for Jamaica. But if you don't build the logistics facilities, they won't come. And that is why the government of the day has to show that we have confidence in our own natural God-given assets, to invest in it. And that is what we are doing here today. And that's why we have called all of you here to show you what we intend to do. and not just to share with you now a dream, but to share with you the vision. This is not one of those groundbreaking that you start and then nothing happens. Work will begin immediately after we have done this. In fact, let me say it another way. Work has already begun. The work that it takes to get here is phenomenal. Securing the land, we are now into design phase. All of those are part of the construction. So we are now well on our way. And for those of you who are still disbelieving, I recall like it was yesterday when we had a similar ceremony at an abandoned factory that people said it would never happen. And now today, when you pass by the Goodyear factory, it is an entirely new urban center. This is the most recent purpose-built, I call it an urban center, but it's really a town, that the government of Jamaica has built. The last town, many of you may not know this, but the last town that the government of Jamaica built is in St. Elizabeth, in a place called Louisville. How many of you know Louisville? You know Louisville. Louisville was built to replace another town which was flooded out, in Newmarket, in St. Elizabeth. And that was in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. You should take a visit and see Louisville today. But what we have built here is far superior. And it is the model and benchmark for new urban centers. This will become the model and benchmark for new special economic zone facilities. And this is just the start of even greater things to come. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been a wonderful audience. God bless you. Thank you. And always remember, choose Jamaica.
Jamaica, the biggest little island in the world. I tell you. Can I get an amen to that? Thank you, PM. We are going to go right into the fun part, the actual groundbreaking. I heard you, sir, earlier saying that you don't love heights, but I don't believe you, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, if you saw that crane that the PM went up into, I wouldn't go up in there. So he is very brave. The PM will lead a group of officials, and I will just call out their names, and the team from the Port Authority will guide and assist. Ladies and gentlemen, the groundbreaking will be live on the screens, so you can remain seated while they go over to execute that ceremonial task. So the PM will lead the team. That will include Minister Hill, the PAJ Chairman Alok Jan, the President and CEO, Professor Shirley, and photographers and videographers to capture. Gentlemen, remember safety first. So make some way, make space for the excavator. Thank you so very much. I was sharing with Pastor Shelley earlier that less than a week ago, there was nothing in the spot where you are sitting. And they have done quite a lot of work to get it here. So we big up the collaborative effort of the Port Authority of Jamaica and all its partners. And there we have it. The Prime Minister is manning the excavator. I bet you the PM didn't know that this needed to be part of his official duties when he was taking up this work. Driving an excavator. Who would have thought it, right? But one thing we know about the PM, he's gonna get involved. All right, lots of video content. It will be on your social media feed. We promise you the JIS, the OPM, the Port Authority will ensure that it's there for you and everyone else to see. And right after this, the PM is going to do one final task. And for those of you who don't know what 700 acres looks like, does anybody have an idea of what 700 acres looks like? Can you conceive that in your mind? I heard the president of the Port Authority in an interview this morning giving a sense of what 700 acres looks like. So imagine the football field at the National Stadium. Well, 700 acres is about 400 football fields. Massive, isn't it? There is an opportunity, actually. The team will have to confirm, given the wind and the weather, whether it's something that we're going to still give you an opportunity to do. But the PM will get a bird's eye view of the area that's designated for the Caymanas Special Economic Zone. And although he says he does not like heights, I already told you that I've seen evidence to the contrary. The PM is going to be the first to go up in what they refer to as a man lift. I've heard it called a cherry picker. What else is it called? A boom truck. So he can go up and get that bird's eye view of these 700 acres that will be the Caymanas Special Economic Zone, the area designated for the Special Economic Zone. And for those of you like myself who are less intrepid, there will be a live feed on the screen so you can see. All right, so they're making their way over to that man lift now so the PM can go up. There are 2 of those pieces of equipment here, and I am told that there is a waiver that you have to sign because you cannot go up into the thing without signing it, so you understand the risks of going up into it. But we will, of course, switch to a live feed so you can actually see what the PM sees when he goes up into the equipment. All right, we're anticipating that live feed. For persons like myself who are height averse, let's call it that, right? It's also a piece of equipment that doesn't allow many persons to go up at a time. All right, so we see the PM now putting on the safety apparatus, because we say safety first every time, right? Don't mind me, it's pretty safe, because they wouldn't let him go up if it wasn't. Don't fret. I see Pastor Shelley getting ready to start praying in tongues, you know. Don't play with her. As we come from the school that says we have to pray for our leaders. Yes, indeed. All right, so the PM is putting on his personal protective equipment. They call it PPE. So might I ask our guests to come back inside the tent, the main staging area. If you're standing outside, you won't be able to see what the PM is seeing. We do have a camera that will capture that bird's eye view. All you're gonna be looking at is the base of the equipment. So if you come back this side, you'll be able to see what he is seeing. All right? So the PM now is collecting his binoculars, and he has a microphone with him, so he will be sharing some of what he is seeing momentarily. PM and the chairman, Alok Jan, getting those very important photo ops. As I mentioned, if it's not photographed and captured, it did not happen.
Yeah, I just did it. Okay.
All right, you can hear the PM's microphone is live, and he will share with us what he's seeing. And the man lift is going up. And the persons inside of this tent, the main staging area, are able to see and will be able to see what he is seeing.
Rise to the occasion, look at rise to the occasion,
Are you able to hear me, Prime Minister? PM? Your microphone is live. Can you share some of what you're seeing?
Yes, you can start. Yeah, just leave it there and just talk, I guess.
How far can you see? Can you see, PM?
Ready?
Yes, go ahead. Let us know what you're seeing.
Well, right now we're seeing a lot of top of the trees, the tree line. We can see the Riverton City dump, part of that.
You can see the river. the river, yeah.
Can see.
Yeah.
Can you see all the way to the port?
Yeah, there's just trees there. You can't see beyond the trees. But that side you can see everything. Yeah.
Now we're going to see on screen what the PM is seeing.
So at this moment, I invite you to direct your attention to the screen. Signal if the screen is up.
Yes, it is.
As I share my vision for Caymanas Special Economic Zone, and you will be seeing it as I'm seeing it. Imagine transforming 700 acres into a multi-purpose special economic zone that will significantly enhance Jamaica's logistics capabilities and position us as the global gateway for logistics. Welcome to the new era in logistics in Jamaica. Yeah.
That deserves a round of applause.
From here,
See the river there? Hey, look. Can you see the river?
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, that's Mandela.
Where's the sewage plant?
No, that side.
Yeah.